Facebook. So I'm in the car. I don't think I've ever really done Facebook Live in the car. I'm sure I have at some point. I haven't done very many of them. So something's been rolling around in my mind for a few weeks now. I'm finally able to get on and share a few moments with you all. So thank you for joining me, if you're joining me in the live, or if you are joining me later and watching the replay. I was sharing this with someone recently about my personal story of what retreats and going on retreats and committing to retreats has done in my life. And it's something I don't really talk about a lot, but I really think it's important and beneficial that you understand this. I have always struggled for a long time with clarity, I have a very strong gut sense, and when I have a big decision that I have to make or that's rolling around, or like a challenge or a problem or a drama that's happened in my life, I tend to get way up in my head and I lose that sense of like gut knowing. I call it core confidence. I lose that sense of core confidence. I'm like, I don't know what to do. I'm asking everybody all around me, and I just kind of lose it. I lose that footing. I lose that grounding. And so I had learned about Richmond Hill, and from my aunt actually, and several others, and I had learned about silent retreats. I'd heard about those. I never really wanted to do that. I like to talk. I like to talk about my problems. I, have no issue with that. And silent retreats were something that were not really of interest to me. But I was dealing with really grappling with a change in my life, a change of career, a change of direction even beyond that, and I needed to get quiet. I needed a guide to help me understand, and I actually really needed to get right with my spirituality. Like, I needed to get right with my soul again. Like, something bigger than myself was what I needed to do. And so when I committed to just a 24-hour retreat, I went in, and mine was silent. When I lead retreats, silence is not required, and there's a lot of talking going on. But when I committed to that and I went into that, I went in very intentionally, and I didn't realize at the time, but I actually was kind of creating this program that then I would start leading others through. I didn't really know that at the time. But I went into deep reflection. I had movement and journaling, and I made sure that I was meeting with my mentor when I was there. And the clarity, like the little symbols and notions and things that came to me when I took that time, if I would read a spiritual text or something, a book that was powerful to me that I brought, a message would just pop out. Or if I engaged in a conversation with someone that I didn't even plan on, some sort of message would just pop. And all of these things started becoming so clear as far as my direction, my clarity, my career. Everything started making sense. And so there's something about stepping out of your normal daily routine and being in a deeply transformational and spiritual community and being around like-minded people that can draw out, like squeeze out the juice when you're like, I don't even know if I have anything left in there. Like, I don't even think there's any decisions to be made. I think I'm just feeling completely off balance. It makes such a difference. And so for me, I left the retreat that day with at the end of the retreat, my personal retreat, the first one I ever did at Richmond Hill, I left with all of these little nuggets. I left with knowing that the scent of rose was something that I needed around me to feel more powerful and more grounded and connected. I knew the direction in which I was going to be taking my career. I knew the way that I needed to show up for my day. All of these things started making sense to me. That before the retreat, I was just like all up in my head. I couldn't even hear them correctly. so then I started doing this again. And I started eventually getting to the point where I wanted to share these retreats. And that has been the Wild and Bright retreat over the last few years. And it has been incredibly powerful to be able to lead other women, small groups of women, through the process that I had been taking myself through, and that I still take myself through this day. I still do it. But one of the things that kept coming out of, like, I always ask for feedback. One of the things that always kept coming out of it is like, well, how do I continue? And how do I keep this up? And, you know, just the hows. How do I implement this? What am I going to do? And so I created, thanks to that feedback and to the women that attended, I created a Facebook group. And then I opened that Facebook group up, the Wild and Bright Sanctuary, so that it is a private Facebook group, but so we can practice living from the core together. But it still really wasn't enough. And so that is what has led me into a new phase, really, that is going to be a major part of my business right now, which is living and leading from the core, these 3-month experiences, because we're going to start with a retreat, and then we're going to continue with private coaching with me over the phone. Okay, so you can do it from your car or anywhere else. And then we're going to be meeting as a group again twice a month. And then I'm going to be giving you meditations based on the downloads that I get from what you as a collective group, and it's a small group, what you'll be needing. And the reason that I did this was because women were leaving these retreats and they were like wide open and they were feeling so great and all ready to go, but without the continued support, it wasn't sustainable. And one of the things that is like part of my moral and ethical fiber is I feel like we all have to be sustainable. Like, we have got to make sure that if I'm leading you somewhere, that I am leading you in a safe and secure way. That is my promise to you. And so it became apparent to me that in order, the Live and Lead from the Core program that we're going to be doing September the 19th, we're going to be at the Quirk Hotel to start in Richmond, and then we're going to be going to Richmond Hill, because Richmond Hill isn't open yet, to stay there. The whole point of this is because we need continued support, and that is my commitment to you. So what will be changing from now on is that I am going to really be reprogramming and readjusting the standalone retreats that I do. I have no other standalone retreats planned for this year. If you're going to wait and not do the Live and Lead from the Core program and you're waiting for another one, I cannot promise you that. COVID has been really intense on these retreats, so I cannot guarantee that. But the other thing that I can guarantee is that it's just not appropriate to do the level of transformation that I had been doing in the Wild and Bright retreats as a standalone retreat. Yes, Jamie, September the 19th is when the Live and Lead from the Core program starts. And you can find that on my website. If you go under workshops and events, it's the first option up there, and you can click to learn more. So I'm no longer going to do these deep transformations because it requires continued community. It requires continued private support with me. And I had offered a one-time session after the last retreat, which was huge for the women that took me up on it. But it's still not quite enough. God is putting this on my heart, that it needs to be a community and that it needs to be continued practice in order to really embody these things. And so I still will lead probably in 2020. I will always be leading these one-on-one retreats, just freestanding weekend retreats, or it's actually just 24 hours, essentially a little over 24 hours, but it will be done in a very different fashion. So if you're interested, if you've heard about the Wild and Bright retreats, and you're like, man, so-and-so said this was such a great one, and I really need to attend someday. The Live and Lead from the Core program is the new way to do that. It is my commitment to you. I feel that strongly about teaching you and leading you and us practicing together, leading and living from the core, from core confidence. So I'm going to help you get in touch with the pelvic floor, get in touch with your posture, get in touch with your core strength, and then also your mental strength, your spiritual strength. So I'll try to drop the link in here a little bit later. I love you all, and I hope you enjoy this message today, and I will talk with you soon. Please get in touch with me if you want to set up a 30-minute call to see if this program is right for you. I would love to do that, okay? So I will also put the link in the bottom. You can email my assistant, my amazing assistant, Kim Grass. It's just KIMGRASS. Her email address is info, I-N-F-O, at Sarah, S-A-R-A, Smith.com. Info at drsarahsmith.com, and she can help schedule you a 30-minute consult to see if this program is right for you. Love you guys.